You've got to. If you're at all creatively minded, if you're not just doing it for the money, like you said, it becomes lifeless at a certain point when you just, the record is on skip, repeat.
We both do things that we can see ourselves in our work, and we can see ourselves getting better and building something bigger. And a lot of people, they don't realize that is like, I got to keep chasing these. Like, I know a lot of people who do this where they have businesses, and of course there's products and marketing that they don't pay as much attention to that stuff, but they pay attention to their P&L statement at the end of the month. Like, okay, all I want to do is, it's a competition. It's like gambling. It's like,
yeah,
well, you can get addicted to wanting to make that number bigger every month or every year.
Yeah. And it's, the problem is that in a lot of situations you can win short-term and lose long-term. And that's what I see the sacrifice a lot of companies make, large companies, and small creators make. So for example, to take my one real job, so to speak, I was, as I said, new home sales, graduated with chemical engineering, hated that. So I was like, well, let me do YouTube. And on the side, I got this job. And one of the things I hated is we'd have these weekly sales meetings, and everything was about sales that quarter. And even there was big pushes, like if we're going to miss our numbers that quarter, the obsession was not make more sales, but let's move a bunch of sales up. Like, let's sort of fudge the numbers to make it seem like we're doing more sales this quarter. We're hustling for this quarter. Everything's about numbers now, but there's an immediate cost long-term because the sales this quarter is the sales not next quarter. So it doesn't matter. You're just moving numbers around. But they were obsessed with that, not obsessed with how do we make the experience better for our buyers? How do we improve the product we're selling? How do we make things better? And probably 80% of the energy of the company was all about now numbers and nothing about long-term happiness of the clients or the customers. No focus on that. And so when I look at creators, put this to YouTube or, sales or any kind of these info products, when your focus is just moving numbers around, pushing pencils, taking numbers from tomorrow and bringing them to today, you're going to lose long-term because you're not putting the effort into what actually is bringing in the sales, which is the customer experience. That's the long-term sales generator. Is nothing to do with quarterly reports or anything like that. And so I find the problem is that most of the metrics we have access to are quality unrelated. That's the problem. Yeah. People are obsessed with watch time. Oh man, this has the watch time.
It's all a competition.
Click-through rate, this is whatever. Well, what I'm saying is those quantitative numbers are not necessarily linked to what's going to get you the views.
No, definitely not. And if anything, they drive down what's going to give you the most amount of views. And for example, to give you what Joe Rogan has, if you want what he has, then you can't worry about the numbers. You can't worry about your headlines because that's just going to stifle the how good your content is or the integrity of your content. And the problem, like going back to what you're saying about companies, is that I think a problem with these companies, why they worry about all of their monthly sales reports and trying to pack as many sales in or to hit a goal for that month, is because, they're competing with a bunch of other businesses that have extremely high overhead, and they want to beat those businesses to be listed as the top 10 most profitable businesses in their city or whatever that month. Instead of taking a breath and being like, okay, how can we create something that is just better than everything else?
You nailed it. I mean, it's hard to say it better than that. Yeah, absolutely. And you're incentivizing people. So one thing that I saw is the sales managers were incentivized to focus on the quarterly reports because that's what they reported to. So their bosses were looking at that. And so they looked at that. And I'm sure those bosses were also looking at so in order to, now we're talking about sort of management theory, but I'm a big believer that incentives drive everything. It's part of the reason that I mock people who are in this world is because I believe the incentives shift when you get mocked and you're like, wait, I don't want to get mocked. Let me not do this.
Right.
And so it's but yeah, when all the focus is on short-term from the top, it trickles all the way down to your employees and just everything goes wrong.
Totally agree with you, man. I
A lot
guess
of agreeing on this podcast.
yeah, we have a lot of agreeing.
What do we
Not
disagree on?
not enough disagreeing. Not enough disagreeing. Well, we're gonna have to do another one where we can find some things we disagree on for sure.
Yeah. So you don't sell a course.
I do not sell a course. Never
Have you been
sold a
pressured to
course.
sell a course? I mean, I find that everyone wants to get everyone to sell a course now.
You dirty, dirty bastard. I've been suggested by people to sell a course.
Really?
Yes, I have. Well, a course as well as so when I was doing that sort of business documentary series, Graham recommended an additional way to monetize our show. Whatever.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't matter.
he was throwing around some numbers that he was seeing from other people in his niche from doing seminars, making tons of money. Be like, look, dude, you can make
stupid money,
$700 a head, and you could pack this place with 1,000 people, 2,000 people. And is that a great opportunity? Is that a great capitalistic opportunity to make more money? And yeah, of course it is. It's a great, that's a way to look at things, but I just couldn't, I can't, I don't know what it is, why it seems so unattractive to me to do something like that because it just, I feel like it just taints the art, because that whole thing was like you said, it was an art project to me. And when I try to throw in something that just sells people an opportunity to listen to some guy ramble for an hour,
yeah,
it taints everything for me. It makes me I just feel gross. I don't know how else to say it.
Here's why. And I think you instinctually feel what is actually true about what that offering is. You're not giving people their money's worth. There's like no way that that's actually worth $700 a head for them to, as you say, watch a guy ramp. Like, what is this? So you're obsessed with creating value, we might say, for, your listener, and more value than they're ultimately having to pay at the door. There is this mentality of like, just take what you can get sort of from people that I think is so toxic right now. And it's because they don't know who their buyers are. That's what I find is like a lot of these people have not encountered their course buyers. They only pay attention to their successes. They don't pay attention to the losers. They sue the losers for complaining. And so it's really sad to me. I think a lot of people don't see the cost of what they're doing. And that's something I'm trying to shine a light on. But yeah, I think you're just feeling something instinctually that is just sort of obvious, which is it's not a good deal for the people that you're building up an audience of. You're selling your audience out. Yeah. And it's like, it's one thing to sell them out in a way that gives them something that like is like pretty obviously negotiably equivalent, like selling a mug, right? Okay, you're spending $10, you get a mug's worth about $10, whatever. That's fine. But when you're trying to get $700, squeeze it out of people, really crank the toothpaste tube for all it's worth, that's when you get into this weird world where you and I, the people, we're kind of architecturing something where we know it's not ethical. Where we know in the back of our mind that it's not a good buy. So why are we selling it? If a lot of these people are selling courses they would never buy themselves. That's what blows my mind. They would never buy it. So why would you sell it?
Mm-hmm. Especially because I've been a victim of it. I know what it's like.
Really? You bought some courses?
Well, no, I was telling you about the
pyramid
scheme I was a part of when I was like 17 years old.
Of course. Yeah, you don't want to do that to somebody. You don't want to be the death of innocence for somebody.
No. Those who, what was it? What is it? Those who, have you heard, you know what I'm talking about?
Those
I forget.
Who cannot do, teach?
Yes. Those who cannot do, teach.
Yeah.
Let me fucking look up that goddamn quote. I got to find out what it is.
It's those who cannot do, teach.
If you see someone trying to teach something, you immediately become suspicious of, okay, why are you charging money to teach people how to do this instead of doing it yourself.
Right. If you knew so much about stock trading, why are you charging someone to teach them? Like, why
Right.
don't you just go do it and make a bunch of money? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, 100%. That's the question they can never answer. They'll go spin off about, well, it's because I just care about people so much. Yeah, right. You care about somebody.
Yeah.
That's why you're charging them $2,000, because that's how much you care about them.
But then again, dude,
insanity.
I have to say, I would totally spend $2,000 to go sit at a Tony Robbins seminar. I think that would be pretty cool. I've always wanted to do that.
Sure. Yeah. Like Tony Robbins is one of those weird edge cases where it's like, he's so much at the top of his game, and it's almost like a different experience because he's not really even selling you information. He's sort of selling you himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like experience a unique human who you will rarely see. And it's almost like a performance, not even a,
yeah, you're right.
It's not about information. It's really about like, you're just going to see Tony Robbins. You could be told that it's the exact same information, but no Tony Robbins. And
it's like going to the Super Bowl.
100%. It's an event. And Tony Robbins, he more teaches, like, he doesn't normally, I mean, from what I've seen, teach how to get rich. He's more teaching, be inspired, be whatever. And that is one of those things that if that's what you want to like do, I don't really care. Because how can you measure the failure of a be inspired speech? You really can't. But you can measure the success or failure of a get rich quick. And that's the whole thing, is these people aren't delivering. So Tony Robbins, if he's telling you he's going to make you inspired, he probably will make you inspired. I don't know.
Dude, I was listening to a sometimes in the morning, if I'm just not feeling it, I'll put on his fucking Tony Robbins Hour of Power, and I'll just like listen to him in the background just ramble. And it just gets me fired up sometimes. Like it just gets me energized and wanting to get shit done. And sometimes you need that.
Sometimes you need it. It's fine. It's fine. Like the funny thing though is there's so many free things out there that the idea of buying some of these courses to me is almost funny, because it's like, you guys know we have like Zig Ziglar, we have all these famous guys who did this, and now a lot of them are dead. A lot of their stuff is just free online. Go do that before you join somebody's course, right? Like, but instead it's the shiny thing. It's the marketing is what ends up selling it. And it's a marketing that the main message is like, you can be a millionaire by the time you're 20, in your 20s. You can be some big shot, retire on a beach somewhere, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're not selling a info product. They're selling a dream. I call them dream salesmen. That's what their actual job is. They take your dream and they sell it back to you. And that's what turns the tickets. It's not the idea that I've always died. I really wanted to work for Jeff Bezos. It's that I always wanted to live on a beach somewhere, and you're telling me I can, and it's easier than I thought. And if I just follow you, the expert, you're going to teach me how to do it. Those are the people that I call out.